Visio Divina, the art of being able to respond to beautiful pictures of art and to be able to come to understand more deeply the love of God for us. I have found this to be such a meaningful experience to me this year that I wanted to share with you some of the pictures that I have felt very drawn to be able to see God speaking to me through the masterpiece, and then to be able to ponder what it is that He's saying to me in that part of the picture that He's drawn my attention to, and then to be able to hold that as a very special gift from Him. I have found such joy in being able to even just look on Google and be able to find images, something that I might be studying in the scripture, and to be able to see one of the masters, Rembrandt, has created this beautiful Rembrandt painting of this scene, and as I've pondered it, it's come alive for me. I've been in the museums and I've gone to that place where they have some sacred art and be able to just ponder that. And then the Lord seems like He draws your attention to some part of it. It's not an evaluation of the piece of art. Do I like this? Do I not like that? But it's more noticing, what is God drawing your attention to? What do you find fascinating about this? And then being able to wonder, what is it there that God is speaking to me? How is He speaking to me through this? And then to hold that and to be able to let it bubble up, to be able to understand what might possibly be there, and then to be able to just for perhaps weeks be able to treasure that, hold it as a gift from God, as a special word that He has spoken to me. I'd like to invite you into an extended period of time reflecting on the return of the prodigal, this beautiful painting by Rembrandt. It was painted back in 1663 to 1665, probably just 2 years before Rembrandt died. So this is a painting, one of his final paintings at the very end of his career. This painting was also acquired in 1766 for the Russian Empress Catherine the Great, and today it's hanging in the State Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg, Russia. And the setting of the picture comes from the very familiar story in Luke 15. Let me read that to you now, and as I read it, just look at this painting. And as you look at it, I'd like you to notice two things. One, what is your eye drawn to? What do you keep coming back to look at? And then secondly, is there anything stirring within you? Is there any emotion, any thoughts, any feelings, any longings? Because these kinds of paintings, we're moving beyond trying to discern whether or not it's good, or whether or not we like it, or whether or not the colors are what we would have painted. It's not an evaluative gaze. Instead, it's more of a receiving, a letting the picture speak to us deeply and to reveal to us the longings of our heart, to let the Lord use the painting to touch on those places within us, that we might begin to see what's stirring within us, and then be able to step into and live into the truth that the painting has shown us. So as I read this story, just listen to it, and as you listen to it, look at the painting and notice it. Luke 15:1. Now the tax collectors and sinners were all gathering around to hear Jesus, but the Pharisees and the teachers of the law muttered, "This man welcomes sinners and eats with them." Jesus then told them 3 parables. This is the second. Luke 15:11. Jesus continued, "There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger one said to his father, "Father, give me my share of the inheritance." So he divided his property between them. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had, set off for a distant country, and there squandered his wealth in wild living. After he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in the whole country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed the pigs. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. When he came to his senses, he said, "How many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here I am starving to death. I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants.'" So he got up and went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. The son said to him, "Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son." But the father said to the servants, "Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." And so they began to celebrate. Meanwhile, the older son was in the field. When he came near the house, he heard music and dancing. So he called one of the servants and asked him what was going on. "Your brother has come," he replied, "and your father has killed the fattened calf because he has him back safe and sound." The older brother became angry and refused to go in. So his father went out and pleaded with him. But he answered his father, "Look, all these years I have been slaving for you and never disobeyed your orders. Yet you never gave me even a young goat so I could celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours, who has squandered your property with prostitutes, comes home, you kill the fattened calf for him." "My son," the father said, "you were always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad, because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." And now I'd like to invite you to continue looking at this painting and consider these questions. Try to move beyond judgment questions of, do I like this, or is it good? And begin asking, what catches my attention? What thoughts, emotions, or memories are stirred in me as I view this? What's attracting me? What's repelling me? And after some time of noticing what's stirring within you as you look at this painting, begin to discern why. Why are you having this reaction? And you're seeking to look beyond the art and more to use the art to attract something within you, to become an invitation to you in what the Lord might be wanting you to see that you haven't seen. Maybe He's underscoring something that you've been thinking, or maybe there's a connection here that's compelling and you'll recognize it. Perhaps you'll get out your journal and you'll want to write a little bit about what's stirring within you and why is that? What is going on here? That you might use this as a window of devotion, an opportunity for you to discern the invitation of Jesus and to respond. So take now 20 minutes to be able to sit with this picture, to be able to let it speak to you, to let you reflect on what's stirring within you, and just see how the Lord might use it as part of your devotional time. And now as we conclude our time of Visio Divina and looking at the picture of the Return of the Prodigal by Rembrandt, I'd like to share with you how the Lord used this same picture in Henri Nouwen's life. Henri has written a book, The Return of the Prodigal Son, and it documents his journey, a journey of 6 years of him contemplating the painting and being able to see how the Lord was inviting him through his meditation and reflection on this painting. He first encountered the painting when he went to visit his friend Simone. As we spoke, he says, my eyes fell on a large poster pinned on her door. I saw a man in a great red cloak tenderly touching the shoulders of a disheveled boy kneeling before him. I could not take my eyes away. I felt drawn by the intimacy between the two figures, the warm red of the man's cloak, the golden yellow of the boy's tunic, and the mysterious light engulfing them both. But most of all, it was the hands, the old man's hands, as they touched the boy's shoulders that reached me in a place where I had never been reached before. Realizing that I was no longer paying much attention to the conversation, I said to Simone, "Tell me about that poster." She said, "Oh, that's a reproduction of Rembrandt's Prodigal Son. Do you like it?" I kept staring at the poster and finally stuttered, "It's beautiful. It's more than beautiful. It makes me want to cry and laugh at the same time. I can't tell you what I feel as I look at it, but it touches me deeply." Simone said, "Maybe you should have your own copy. You can buy it in Paris." "Yes," I said, "I must have a copy." He continues, "When I first saw The Prodigal Son, I had just finished an exhausting 6-week lecturing trip throughout the United States, calling Christian communities to do anything they possibly could to prevent violence and war in Central America. I was dead tired, so much so that I could barely walk. I was anxious, lonely, restless, and very needy. During the trip, I had felt like a strong fighter for justice and peace, able to face the dark world without fear. But after it was all over, I felt like a vulnerable child who wanted to crawl into its mother's lap and cry. As soon as the cheering or cursing crowds were gone, I experienced a devastating loneliness and could easily have surrendered myself to the seductive voices that promised emotional and physical rest. It was in this condition that I first encountered Rembrandt's Prodigal Son on the door of Simone's office. My heart leapt when I saw it. After my long, self-exposing journey, the tender embrace of the father and son expressed everything I desired at that moment. I was indeed the son, exhausted from long travels. I wanted to be embraced. I was looking for a home where I could feel safe. The son come home was all I was and all I wanted to be. For so long I had been going from place to place, confronting, beseeching, admonishing, consoling. Now I desired only rest, only to rest safely in a place where I could feel a sense of belonging, a place where I could feel at home. Much happened in the months and years that followed. Even though the extreme fatigue left me and I returned to a life of teaching and traveling, Rembrandt's embrace remained imprinted on my soul far more profoundly than any temporary expression of emotional support. It had brought me into touch with something within me that lies far beyond the ups and downs of a busy life, something that represents the ongoing yearning of the human spirit, the yearning for a final return, an unambiguous sense of safety, a lasting home. Let me read that again. It had brought me into touch with something within me that lies far beyond the ups and downs of a busy life, something that represents the ongoing yearning of the human spirit, the yearning for a final return, an unambiguous sense of safety, a lasting home. While busy with many people, involved in many issues, and quite visible in many places, the homecoming of the prodigal son stayed with me and continued to take on even greater significance in my spiritual life. The yearning for a lasting home, brought to consciousness by Rembrandt's painting, grew deeper and stronger, somehow making the painter himself into a faithful companion and guide. So now, as you conclude this time of Visio Divina, of letting Rembrandt be a faithful companion and guide into what the Lord might be stirring within you, may you treasure that, receive that as a gift. Tuck it away where you can bring it back out. Remember what the Lord is saying to you. Perhaps this will begin for you a journey, this moment. It might take you all kinds of places. May the Lord bless you. Amen.